Hi, my name is Martha. I'm a sexologist based in Singapore, and my company is called Eros Coaching. I've decided to interview my friends who are authors because I love books, and I thought it would be a good way to help publicize their good work and also their book. I have with me my good friend Mark Jamieson, and he has written the book last year. He wrote the book last year called Calm, and this is a copy of his book. I read it. It has revolutionary concepts around calm, and we're going to interview him now to find out more about his book. So Mark, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
I've been a management consultant for a long time, working with companies and helping them solve their business issues, and this has been some quite big corporations like IBM and Oracle, and working in a number of areas across the world, in Europe and in Asia. So my focus has always been helping clients solve their business issues. The trouble is, I discovered that there are some persistent issues in business that just don't seem to go away, and the approaches we have to them just don't seem to be making any difference. And these are these issues like stress in the workplace, or busyness, or the issues clients have is that they find that they're working harder but not smarter, and it annoys them because they really do want to be in that smart place, but they just can't quite find the way to be there. Engagement. How do we engage in the workplace? How do we engage with each other? Traditional approaches just didn't seem to make any impact upon them. They just wouldn't go away. At the same time, I started an investigation of mindfulness, which was primarily for my own personal benefit. But then I started to look at and saying, what would happen if we applied mindfulness approaches into the workplace?
So this started off as a personal investigation.
I think when we talk about calm, it has that instant appeal to people that personally we're looking for that peace or that balance in our lives. Then I thought, and to be truthful, I achieved a measure of that, which was fantastic for me. Except when I went back to the frantic workplace, it disappeared again. And when you think about it, when you really want to be calm is when you're working, not when you're resting. So I did a lot of work in terms of trying approaches and techniques in terms of how can we apply mindfulness effectively into the business environment. And importantly, that it's relevant to the business environment. You know, we're working, the pressures aren't going to go away. This is not about having a respite in the meditation room. This is about turning up in a meeting or with someone or communicating clearly to someone. That's the real test. And being able to do that all the time, being able to drop back into that nice, calm, connected place. So I've been working this for a while, trying out various things. The book is the result of what works, and it does work. It's very powerful and refreshing. I'm so pleased to write it, I'm so pleased to share it, and I'm especially pleased that it really does make that connection, and we start to have this very exciting conversation, because all of a sudden we're starting to make some progress on some of the biggest issues that we have in our work life.
What has been the writing process?
I'd like to say that either this book took 10 days or 10 years. It's difficult. It's difficult to describe.
Yeah, it takes time. It's like a gestation process.
If you talk to any author, what's their driver? They have something to share. And we normally have so much. So for me to be able to focus on what was the message, what would people actually get out of this book, and to put it in a way that's coherent and understandable. You know, we each have so much that we want to say. So it took me a long time to, dare I say, get calm enough to actually really think about what is it that the people reading the book.
You became calmer writing calm.
That's true.
A cliche.
Well, are we talking authors? I mean, why would you write a book about calm unless it was something you're interested in?
What has been the response of the book?
Very positive. And you know, there's always this nervousness when you put yourself down on paper and you present some ideas to the world, and I have to say they're different, but refreshingly so. So I'm finding the response extremely positive, and that's really rewarding. The nice thing is, the book is helpful, but all of a sudden it starts that really important conversation with my clients about what really matters to them and how we can actually get some real solutions to these very real issues that they're facing.
They can also hire you for your workshops, right?
Yes, it would be nice if people would get the messages directly from the book, but what I find, the workshop is more personal. It's really looking at your experience, understanding what's happening for you. Just for an example, one of the things we do is we take your most pressing business issues. What's happening at the moment? Why don't we take a look at that and see if we apply this approach of calmness and mindfulness, whether we can see some different solutions, some insights about what's going on. And the workshops are about your issues.
So are you saying that the workshops are more of an experiential, interactive, investigative kind of...
Well, they have to be. They have to be. All learning takes place actually when we're having a dialogue. We're having a dialogue whether we like it or not. So we could give you 50 PowerPoints, but everyone knows that feeling. We talk a bit more directly about what is happening in your work. How is it affecting you? How are people perceiving you? How are you looking at others? And how can we resolve those issues?
If you have one tip where viewers out there can immediately become calmer, what would it be?
Immediately? Well, tips... Here's the trick, if there's ever a trick to this, and it's going to sound really weird. The trick is in not thinking. And this is so counter-cultural. And if I ask you to stop thinking for a moment, it's just impossible. But mindfulness allows us just to relax a little bit, if you like, just dropping your attention just slightly away from where you are. When you get to the heart of it, calm is your natural state. It is the base. And then all this thinking starts up. So the more that you're attached to that thinking, the less calm that you are. So the strangest thing about all of this, and talking about this in business, is that the key trick is actually to be able to do nothing for an instant, just for a while.
It's just like in yoga, right? They do all that poses and then they end with nothing.
That's right.
That helps.
That's right. This is the hardest thing in our culture, in our business life. Everyone thinks they have to think their way out of a problem, whereas in fact most of our answers come when we're not actually actively thinking of it. If I run a workshop and I ask people where they actually have their best thoughts, where they get insights from, well, it's not at work. It's
in the bathroom.
Yeah.
He was just giving us his tip about how listeners, viewers out there, can immediately become calmer, and the tip was to do nothing. That is already a practice by itself that will help us to be calmer, and over time, with more practice, it actually becomes easier and easier. So that's really deeply profound, let me say that.
And let me add, it took a lot of practice to be able to do nothing.
And maybe you can tell us a little bit about your future plans.
Well, this one seems to have taken off, and that's great. For me, it's an important message. The book has been a nice way of encapsulating it. It's generated a lot of interest. A lot of what I do is either talking at conferences. I think there's just so much interest in mindfulness in the first place, but then in ways that we can actually apply it into the workplace. And it's different, and people find it very refreshing. So I'm doing a lot more talking about that, and for me it's great, because this message, and this really important message, that you can be calm in the workplace.
If you are not already aware, there is actually a big movement about mindfulness all over the world. Mindfulness, happiness. That's because lots of people are miserable and stressed and unhappy. And so Mark Jamieson's book is just come out at the right time, because that's, this is his personal exploration, and how real can you be? How genuine can you be? And so this is a perfect book for this generation, I feel. And if you want to get a piece of calm, you want to check out his book. And you can find his book at...
Well, I have a copy here, but you can get your copy from Amazon, either Kindle or hard copy, or you can go to my website, thecalmrevolution.com, and you can order it directly from there.
Great. Thank you so much for being on this program or being interviewed. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Martha, and I hope the calmness is spreading.
I feel so good right now. I don't know about feeling calm. Thank you.